Am I the a-hole for refusing to lend my friend $20,000 to save his business after he lied to me about his finances? I, 34 male, have been friends with Greg, 35 male, for over a decade. We met in college and became pretty close during our senior year. He's one of those people who's always full of energy, always got a big idea, and is just generally the life of the party. He's smart, talented, and passionate. When he's really into something, it's hard to not get caught up in his enthusiasm. That said, Greg also has a tendency to get in over his head. Over the years, I've seen him start and fail at a few ventures. Whether it was a tech startup that never took off or a clothing line that went nowhere, it felt like Greg always had his hands in a dozen different pots but never really stuck with one long enough to make it work. Every time, I'd be there for him, offering advice, helping with connections, and sometimes even helping financially when he asked. I'll admit, I didn't always think it through, but I wanted to be a good friend. Flash forward to about 6 months ago, Greg started a new business, a bar and restaurant in our neighborhood. He was really excited about it, and he asked me to invest early on, promising me a stake in the business and saying it would be the one that takes off. I'm not a big spender, but I know enough about business to know that the hospitality industry is risky, especially starting a new place from scratch. But Greg seemed more confident than ever, and I trusted him. We've been friends for so long, and he assured me everything was well thought out. I decided to lend him $10,000 to help him with startup costs. I figured it was a reasonable amount, and I could handle the potential loss if it didn't work out. Greg promised that the money would be paid back with interest within 6 months, and I trusted him. We had a deal, and I honestly felt good about helping him chase his dreams. Well, 6 months came and went, and the business wasn't doing as well as Greg had hoped. There were a lot of hiccups, local competition, poor marketing, high overhead costs, and before I knew it, Greg was asking for more money. This time, it wasn't just a small loan. He needed $20,000 to pay off some outstanding debts and keep the business afloat. He promised that this would be the last time he'd need help, and he assured me that once the business got past this rough patch, things would turn around. But here's where things get complicated. A few days before he asked me for the $20,000, I had a long conversation with him about his finances. I was concerned. He'd been vague about how the business was doing, and I knew he had taken out a couple of personal loans to cover some of the costs. I asked him directly how the finances were looking, and he assured me everything was under control. Me, Greg, are you sure about this? You've been avoiding talking about your finances. You got some loans, right? How are you handling all of this? Greg, I've got it all covered, man. It's just a rough patch. You know how the restaurant business is. There's always a slow season. I'm in the process of securing some additional investors, and I'm confident that this is just a temporary issue. I just need a bit more to tide me over. After that, I'll be able to pay everyone back. No problem. I felt reassured. He was confident, and we've been friends for so long. I trusted him, and I wanted to help him out again, but something didn't sit right with me. So I did something I should have done earlier. I started looking into his business more carefully. I got a hold of some financial reports through a mutual acquaintance in the industry. What I saw made my stomach drop. Greg had been lying to me. The business wasn't just in a rough patch. It was bleeding money. There was no way the $20,000 would save it, and I could tell that Greg was trying to cover up bad financial decisions with more loans. The debts were mounting, and the business was on a path to failure, no matter how much more money he threw at it. Me, Greg, I've been looking into your financials, and there are some things I need to address. You told me you were in control, but this doesn't look good. I see a lot of red flags here. Greg, what are you talking about? It's just a couple of bad months. We could turn it around. Just trust me. You're overreacting. Me? Overreacting? Greg, you got loans up the wazoo. You're sinking deeper into debt, and now you want me to give you more money? I don't think this is going to turn around. You've been lying to me. There was a long silence, and I could tell he was getting defensive. Greg, you think I'm lying to you? I'm not. I'm doing everything I can. I've been working my ass off to make this business work, and I'm so close to securing more investors. Just trust me. Please, I need this money. Me? No, Greg. I can't do this anymore. You lied to me about your finances. You've been telling me everything's fine when it clearly hasn't been. I can't throw another $20,000 at this. I've already given you enough, and I'm not going to put myself at risk for a business that isn't going to survive. His voice started to shake a little. Greg, so, you're really not going to help me? After everything we've been through, you're just going to walk away? Me? I'm not walking away, Greg. I've been there for you for years, but I can't keep bailing you out when you're not being honest with me. I've given you everything I can, and I can't jeopardize my own financial stability for something that's already failing. He was quiet for a moment, and then he let out a long sigh. Greg, I don't get it. You're just going to turn your back on me like this? After all I've done? You're not even giving me a chance. Me, you're not being realistic. You've made bad decisions, Greg. I can't fix that for you. I can't keep enabling your mistakes. The conversation ended with him angrily hanging up. I sat there for a while, staring at my phone, feeling like I had just done the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Greg and I have been friends for over a decade, and I wanted to help him. I wanted to believe he could turn things around. But I knew deep down that continuing to support his failed business wasn't the right thing. I couldn't risk everything I've worked for. The fallout has been intense. Greg hasn't spoken to me since. He's reached out a couple of times, but the messages have been cold, angry, and filled with guilt tripping. "I thought you were my friend," he said in one text. "I guess you only care about money." I try to respond calmly, but I'm still getting the silent treatment. My family is also torn. Luke, my brother, is supportive and says I did the right thing by cutting him off before things got worse. But my parents are upset with me. They think I should have given Greg more of a chance to get back on his feet. They say I'm being too harsh and that I'm abandoning a friend in need. They've been telling me I should have helped him one more time, but deep down I know it's too risky. So here I am questioning myself. I feel guilty, but at the same time, I know I made the right decision. Did I make the right call in refusing to lend Greg $20,000 for his business after he lied to me about his finances? Should I have helped him again, or did I do the right thing by walking away? Am I the a-hole?